Doom 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 doom
what the
doom
fuck?
doing this stupid acapella
You are not doing this right
version.
now.
YouTube is
What are you
stupid
doing,
with
dude?
their stupid copyright strikes. So I'm going to sing the Bray Wyatt song like this, so YouTube can't be a bunch
know you're
of
a Bray fan, but this is getting
motherfuckers
ridiculous.
and copyright strike this fucking video. I'm going to keep doing this song until it's over, and I'm going to keep doing this song cause stupid YouTube is a bunch of cocksuckers. Yes, you are. YouTube, you're stupid. Fuck you. YouTube, you can suck my cock. Yeah, you too can suck my dick. Yes, you could suck my dick. Yes.
Did you just whistle when you?
I said, we're here.
I heard a.
We're here.
That's what I heard.
All right.
So, gee, I wonder who's excited that Bray's back. Who's excited?
Very
that
excited.
Bray's
Shit.
back?
Very excited. Very excited. And I heard your guys' holy shit. I'm gonna have to edit the audio on this one because that thing was clipping over here. I'm looking at the audio track and instead of a squiggly wave, it's just a big old square.
Right.
But yeah, very excited that Bray's back.
I'm glad we just start recording randomly to catch those things.
Yeah, well, that's the best.
That's
the
great.
best time.
Yeah, so you said you heard us
I will
last week
say
on
though,
Unscripted?
yeah, I was listening to it. I'm trying to. I listened to it purposely just in case there was because I figured you guys were going to talk about the stuff that you did talk about, and then I was like, well,
yeah, you had to.
We'll do Unscripted next week, and there might be some points that I had wanted to maybe talk about, and then we can just continue off some of the things.
Well, we can build from there. What did you think of his comeback at Survivor Series?
When he first came back, yeah. So at Extreme Rules, I thought that was perfectly done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm kind of glad. Yeah, no worries. Well, it was cool because it's just a normal, it's the B show, and then which was a great show by the way. It was a really good show.
It was really good.
And actually, I want to touch on that too because
the B pay-per-views are getting really good, man. They're getting really good.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about too. Like I remember like that was one of the main things I had wanted to talk about was before I go back on the break. But if you go back, because I know now, there's noticeable differences now that Triple H has taken over.
Sure.
The product overall is better, but if you go back, as far as like in-ring work goes, if you go back, even when Vince was in charge, you can go back and watch any pay-per-view, whether it was a B pay-per-view or a big show, and there were actually great matches on there still, because everyone was like, oh, AEW is, which AEW has great matches. I'm not gonna say nothing about that. But everyone was like, "Oh, it's clearly better." Oh, it's like, dude, like, and everyone would always say, like, "Oh, there's no good matches on WWE compared to AEW." It's like, dude, you go back and watch the pay-per-views; they've been good on the pay-per-views. Now on Raw and SmackDown, they do their stupid shit, weird finishes, or maybe the matches weren't always long. Which now, like, that's what I worried about when Triple H took over. I'm like, you can't make every match long. Like, don't get me wrong, we were missing that on Raw and SmackDown, long matches. Well, SmackDown actually was always been pretty good, but that's the whole thing is everyone thinks that there were no good matches ever on WWE the last couple of years. It's like, dude, go back and watch. I challenge anyone.
No,
to go back.
There's good matches on pay-per-views, but there's
stories
also better flow, better stories now, which makes the pay-per-views better, and there's better flow of the pay-per-view, which makes a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. And matches that might get passed up, and like I said, a good example is Bianca Belair. Everybody thought she was going to lose it because that's the old formula, but that didn't need to happen. And when she won that ladder match, I was like.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because I wouldn't have minded because it's always like.
But again, that would have been it. It was Bayley's big come out party. She had all the people behind her. She had her faction that was there.
I would have been fine because I wouldn't mind.
I'm just saying, like at any other time, I think that would have been Vince saying, "No, it's got to be Bayley," and then Bianca's got to chase again. It didn't happen. It was different. It's just different.
It was.
The match was great too. They always are. Like. You put those two together.
The only reason I would like to have had Bayley won is because they need some steam, Damage Control, and it would have been cool because Damage Control, they both have the tag team titles already, so why not give Bayley the title and let them just fucking really run shit? And that's another thing too. That's why I said I'm glad you brought up that match because with Damage Control, everyone seems to think, I don't know why, because when Bayley first came up with Damage Control, everyone was talking about, which was true. Bayley pitched that idea last year to Vince. She said, I want to have a faction and I want Dakota Kai and Io Shirai in it. But now everyone's like, Damage Control is just this group they threw together randomly. It's like, no, this was something that was planned out last year. Vince turned down.
Yeah.
And it sucks that it's not gaining steam. That's why I feel like Bailey, like they kind of need it. Like that would have been, I think that would have just made it better for the faction
Mhm.
because if Bailey would have had the title, for one, what does everyone always say? It's always better when the face is chasing, right? Which I don't agree with that. Like I think it can't always be that. Like you can't have every title be held by a heel, and then maybe for the main card, like it's great what they're doing with the Roman right now. That's the best thing going on right now. But I think for something for the women's title, like I mean, I know, like I said, it would
I
have gone
thought
to
it was
that.
fine. Bianca doesn't have to lose right now. She really
She doesn't.
She's on top of she's on top of the world. Everybody loves her. She's the
I don't think she would have lost
face.
anything though. I don't think she would have lost anything. Everyone's looking at damage control
Well,
now, like,
fine,
oh, they're not.
But neither does Bailey in damage control because damage control doesn't done anything yet. They will.
Well, that's why I feel like she needed it. I think she needed it more than Bianca because Bianca, she's already solidified.
Then do it on a bigger stage. Don't put it on the B show.
Yeah, that is true. They shouldn't have rushed to it too. That's the thing. Like Survivor Series would have been perfect. I think.
Chris, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen, and it'll be fine. But it didn't have to happen right there. Anybody else would have forced it.
I think they should have just not done that match.
Again, we can disagree on whether it should have been done, but you know that it would have been done previously. It would have been. It would have been done.
I don't know.
It would have
been. I mean, Vince put it on her, right? On the title on Bianca.
No, of course, but Vince would have seen that corner and turned it right away. Is all I'm saying.
Well, I think Vince gets impatient though too. I think regardless of who had the title,
Vince isn't unhappy with Bianca. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying like he would have had Bailey go over in that match because of everything you're saying right now.
But then the next month he would have had her lost it too. He's impatient. Yeah. He gets impatient.
Again, let it run a little bit. Let the faction get a little bit more nasty.
It needs to happen.
Yeah,
like that. Like you're saying.
And it will. It will. There's no way they're not going to put all that together and take Bailey up on that if they're not going to.
That's the one. Which I'm more confident with Triple H now.
Let's move back to Bray though, man. What are your thoughts on?
Yeah, that was
you heard me say I thought it was overdone. I think you would have gotten the same reactions without all that crazy.
I forgot though. Which part were you saying was overdone? Like when he actually debuted. Like that night?
No. Yeah, I'm talking about the debut itself, and not the debut, but the parts of the debut where you're zooming to like, oh my god, there's a stuffed animal over here. I'm like,
well,
that was dumb.
See, to me it makes sense if you're actually doing a faction. I know. Like I think Jess was saying that it's not going to be good if it's or something like it watered him down maybe or something. But I was like, no, that's what he's always been.
Two reasons. He said it would be too big. And he wants to get to know Bray first and where he's been and what he's doing.
Well, that is true.
I understand.
That is true. I think it makes sense. Like that part will make sense though if it does become a faction. If it is a faction, as far as you're zooming in on everybody, that's the members. They're the followers that are with the cult of Wyndham. That's something that and I don't mind. I just
don't think there should be one.
I hope it gets called that though, because people are seeing the Wyatt Six. I hope it's not called that. I hope it's called the Cult of Wyndham, because that was a thing that he changed his name to. Or an idea he brought out after he got released from WWE was the Cult of Wyndham. So I hope it's actually that. I think that would be cool. Tie more in with his family roots.
The great thing about Bray is he's definitely talented. He's definitely creative. He's got lots of ideas, and he's got the ear back there. And they do let a lot of things roll with it. It's going to be fun. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to see what happens, and I'm excited. But that's the important. Here's the thing that I didn't like on SmackDown. It was last week, obviously, because SmackDown is running right now as we speak. I did not like the end of him coming out. I loved his, what I felt was a heartfelt interview. He really missed us, and he really thinks that we saved him. And it was all you, and you guys made me feel like I was worth something. I loved all of that. It was really heartfelt. And then the stupid mask comes on, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, can we just have a moment? Can we just have a moment? And that's how I felt about it, but I don't know. And if it doesn't go anywhere, because it's going to be even worse.
I agreed. And when I was watching it, I agreed. I was like, man, that was so flat, that ending. But then when it sank in,
because what he said to you was more real than anything, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that was the point. And then when it sank in, like a couple days, like it took a couple days for it to sink in. I was like, ah, man. I was like, that's so flat. And then I was like, that was the point, though. That was the point. It was such a heartfelt thing, and it was kind of like it may have been a few things. It may be either one, because someone is behind that mask, or two, that was him being himself, and he's like, this is the last time. Like, this is
he took that mask off when he debuted at the end of the pay-per-view.
Exactly. So that's why it might be the other thing, which I was leaning towards too, is that's him being real with you. So like giving you like in kayfabe, like obviously what he was telling you was real, like his feelings and everything. But I think that was like the Bray Wyatt, like him just being him in kayfabe on character, talking about real stuff. And it's like, this is me because you never got to see me before, but now this other character that I'm going to be is what you're going to see from here on out. I think that was just kind of his way to like, let me address everything. You know, I got released and this is what I was going through and blah, blah, blah. Everyone wanted to know about what was going on. That I think they just kind of mixed reality.
He still didn't really tell us what was going on. We all know what was going on, but he didn't
that's
say,
what
he
makes
didn't
it
say
better.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
maybe that's going to be, maybe that's stuff we're going to see, you know?
Made,
because look, even when Vince was there, when he did the Firefly Funhouse, there was some bits of reality in there where the evil Vince McMahon character telling him what to do, the Husky Harris character, like everything, he was already like talking shit. And that was the thing too, like that's the other thing too that I wanted to get on about. Everyone all of a sudden now all of a sudden everyone is talking about his match quality. It's like, dude, like when he was in WWE, he had good matches. It was when he was the Fiend. He even said it himself. He said, Vince let me have full creative control over the promos. He's like, but then when it got down to the match, Vince took over. When it got down to the Fiend matches, Vince took over control on that.
That was the worst part.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but everyone acts like Bray didn't have great matches before that. Bray had
that is
Roman,
I agree with you on that.
Cesaro,
he can go.
Rollins.
He can go.
But everyone's like, oh, the bell has to ring. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like you're acting like
it doesn't. The problem everybody had with it was that he was losing, not the quality of the matches at all.
Well, I mean,
until you become the Fiend and wrestle under the red light.
Yeah, like, that was garbage though. Regardless if he lost or not, like that stuff was garbage.
But when he wrestled those great matches as Bray, and he's still doing great stuff. He was just getting in all the time. We're like, and I guarantee they all said, well, it doesn't hurt him. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't hurt him. So let's put the next guy over. And eventually, like, you hurt him.
Yeah,
because you never let him win. That's the argument with Bryan Danielson. Like everyone's mad because he's like 1-16 or whatever.
Dude? Yeah, what is going on with that? Like I understand him.
I don't know.
It could be him. It could be him. Like saying like, let me put over these. But like,
if I'm being real with you, if you're not putting him in any real storyline, I could see Bryan Danielson lose 100 out of 100 matches, and I would still enjoy myself because he's going to put so much quality into the match.
Yeah,
people just freak out over things that don't matter, and that doesn't matter. Bray is a bigger deal in the realm of what you want to do with him. He can't lose all the time. He can lose, but he can't lose every match. But Bryan Danielson losing every match, I don't really care. You're not putting him in any significant storyline.
And what's sad is I would like to see him now.
Just put him in there, bring in a barn burner to wrestle, and let's go and let's put that on tape and let's air it on YouTube.
But at some point, it has to matter though, because then if you don't care that Daniel Bryan is in a match or Bryan Danielson is in a match because you know he's going to lose, it takes a little away from it. But
well,
I don't know. Like,
I mean, but you gotta make it matter, man. You gotta make it matter,
and it depends on who he's going against too. If it's a guy that you realistically think he could beat, like let him let him get a couple of those W's.
I guarantee you, he's the kind of guy. I have limited time. I'll put guys over.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say.
That's where he is right now.
I am sad that we might not be able to see him wrestle again under Triple H's regime, because I'm sure Triple H would take care of him in that regime. And Bryan Danielson already said this is going to be my last active contract.
Contract
as far as an active wrestler. He'll probably go back to WWE, I'm sure. But this is his.
Oh,
last
they'll welcome
time.
with open arms. Can you imagine what he could do in the back?
Yeah, and I'm glad. I hope, because I'm happy for him, because he's busted his ass off. He deserves it. I hope at the very least he gets a nice cushy job for the rest of his life in WWE.
He's amazing.
He is.
What'd you think of that Hangman Page injury, by the way?
Oh man,
he just hit his head on the mat, right?
No, dude, it looked like he was out. Like Jess said.
Well, I say that, but they said the lariat hit him straight in the chest, and he just did that.
No, did you watch the slow motion video of it?
No, did it actually? Did
he hit him right in the head on the side, and then he landed. Really? Oh my god! And then there was the other angle from the front, like so in front of Moxley. There was a new angle that I just saw, like where it was from not behind them, not behind.
And call me crazy, I don't hear about Moxley having a history of hurting anyone, does he? I mean, not really.
No, I've never heard.
Just a weird. Just a weird thing.
Just a weird thing that happened.
He'll be back. He's young. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, they are. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. They are getting hit with a lot of injuries on that side.
I think. Well, I talked to Jess about this in Unscripted, I think a few weeks back. I said they honestly need to get somebody, or probably on text. I can't remember. I'm like, they need to get somebody back there to get this under control. Someone who knows.
That's the problem, man.
They don't have anybody.
None of the veterans are even like Jericho, Billy Gunn. None of them are. They're talking about like Billy Gunn said something like they need to get stuff under control back there. It's like, dude, you're the veteran. Like
you're the guy back there.
Like take it over. About? Like no one is doing
that. But
at
least, Jericho's extension at least includes some kind of creative control. So maybe they're trying to get him to
I saw
be that guy. But that's the thing that they're really missing. they do stuff that's unnecessary. Who was the young lady that got her head hit on the side rail bars? That move had no impact for anything. It was totally unnecessary. She could have died.
Hart, Julia Hart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was bad. I was like, she said she was okay the next day. I'm like, well, good, but man, incredibly lucky. It's really scary stuff. I'm glad she's okay, but that whole sequence was unnecessary. It didn't have anything to really do with the match. It wasn't even a high impact. It was just a bad blow.
Yeah.
You know?
And then what about the did you see the AEW Dark match with Athena, Amber Moon?
Oh, you have seen
Dude,
those,
that's
yeah,
so
absolutely.
like the match that she just had. And I know like everyone's like, "Oh, that was the style." It's like,
It's funny, she never wrestled like that in TNA. She never wrestled like that in WWE.
Never seen her wrestle like that before. Poor girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that girl is kind of like, I've seen some of the matches that she's done too on the independents, and she's a tough girl, but it's like that looked more like
they have
I'm pissed at
they
you
just
than
they need to get it
looked reckless.
for all the matches. They just need to get stuff under control. It's not that impactful. It just hurts, and it's not bringing anybody to their feet. It's not worth the risk. I just don't understand it. To me, it sounds like there's a lot of wrestlers that are like, they have free range and they're trying to do something new and creative, which I condone. But then someone's gonna get in and go, yeah, you're not doing that. That's really dangerous. You almost clipped your head right there on the cushion. So imagine what happens if you do it in the ring. So there needs to be somebody there to say that's not happening. And again, that's not happening. So there's no one there to do that.
So, and I'll give credit, because I remember seeing this too, and because people were like, "Oh, that's just how." Have you ever seen Joshi wrestling Japanese women? It's like, yeah, we've seen that, but this did not look like, hey, we're gonna work stiff together. This looked like I'm gonna take liberties on you. So Fightful.
There's a difference between hitting stiff to the chest and hit stiff to the side of the face, which you can be ready for, versus getting your head totally crushed. Like your head was crushed.
She does a suplex. So Athena picks her up for a suplex and throws her out, and that looked like that looked brutal and dangerous. But it looked also like, okay, like Jody Threat looked like she knew what was going to happen there, and she didn't look. I mean, it looked bad, but it looked like she also protected herself. But it was the elbows, which weren't too shabby, but they still looked pretty bad. But then the drop kick into the railing, and that's why I made the comment, like, dude, I hope Paige isn't going to wrestle Athena, because she's going to break her neck.
If she catches that kind of, It
but really so Fightful Select reported, and this was I guess AW management approached Athena. So this is what happened apparently, which pisses me off even more if this is how it happened. So I guess Jody Threat slipped, like she forgot what her comeback, like, so it was Athena beating her down.
No, so she missed a move and she was giving her a receipt.
Well, yeah, no, not even that. She just thought she asked, like, I guess she said I was a little lost, on what was supposed to happen next, and that's when Ember Moon, Athena, proceeded to do what she did. So just because she didn't remember it's not like she botched a move or anything. It was like, I think it sounds like she kind of like, oh, I forgot what I'm supposed to do here, and then Athena just proceeded to just lay in on her because she forgot what she was supposed to do. That's
so it wasn't even it wasn't even a receipt for hurting somebody first.
So I wish Ember Moon, I wish Athena or Ember Moon would try that on Ronda or Shayna. Like, why wouldn't she never try that? Yeah, exactly. Try that on Ronda or Shayna, bitch. And I used to be a fan of her too, but that's fucking
try it on a number of those women in the back.
Try it on Sasha. Try it on Bailey. Try it on Bailey.
I dare, yeah. Try it on Charlotte.
Try on Bianca.
I don't think it's gonna work out.
Bianca would fucking KOD her against her will. I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
That's losing a little respect.
I saw it and I was like, hey, I like stiff matches, but like that looked more like
too.
I'm taking
I love like New Japan style stiff stuff. I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It tells a great story when they build up with it too. I love that stuff. But yeah, that's unnecessary. I also heard on Twitter today, just read it over, that they are negotiating CM Punk's like entrance and contract.
Well, that was another thing I wanted to talk about. So
you saw that too?
We're on that fucking point right now. Yeah. So what I was reading,
I keep thinking of this cartoon I saw where he's leaving blood out of the WWE.
Oh, that's the one I sent.
That's the one you said,
right? He's the Grim Reaper. Yeah.
I was like, out of UFC and now out of AEW, and now he's going to go into Impact. I was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. He's going to blow that up. Like,
and what would be
you're
funny
starting to see
Impact's
a pattern. They probably will.
That's why
they can't afford to have that happen.
And Jess knows I was a big dude. I'll say this, and I don't know why I have to say this all the time. So I stopped watching WWE, the product WWE, in about 2008, 2009. I stopped until 2011. CM Punk got me back into WWE. I already know who CM Punk was because in that absence,
Sure.
And even before I stopped watching, YouTube started getting all the Ring of Honor videos, New Japan, all the independent wrestling, and I would see CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli,
It's great stuff.
Luke Harper, all these guys. So I was already a fan of all these guys. And then CM Punk, when I saw the run he was having in WWE, when he did the pipe bomb, that's what, and that's what everyone would probably go to. But I was like, I was already a WWE fan, but I stopped watching it because it was garbage. Like, I thought it was garbage. I don't know how some people say this was the day. These are the classics. I'm like, no, that was garbage back then. But I came back because CM Punk. I bought a CM Punk. I came back. I watched CM Punk, and then Brock Lesnar came back. I bought my first 2 shirts ever since I started watching WWE again, were CM Punk and Brock Lesnar shirt. I bought a CM Punk shirt. When he left WWE, I didn't care about that. I didn't care that he, everyone wanted to say, oh, he took his ball and went home. He may have been telling the truth about some of the stuff why he left, and he may have been being a bitch about something.
A lot of ways, I had more respect for him then when he did it.
Yeah,
compared to what we've seen the last.
My whole problem was he started talking shit on the business that made him who he was. He started calling it. I don't care. Like, I know a lot of wrestlers,
but you have to understand, people ate that up, man. People ate that
for sure. But he knew, like, in his mind, and you could tell the way he was acting, because I think he thought he actually was going to do good in UFC. I think he thought he was actually going to have a career like Brock. He was just trashing it. He was just like, "Oh yeah, that stuff's fake anyways." Blah blah blah.
Could you imagine being our age and shedding all that weight? Even though a lot of his weight was muscle too, and trying to get down to those weight classes at 43, 44 years old. There's no way. Like, and trying to do that with like his first match wasn't his first match with like a 22-year-old, and it was like he like almost doubled his age.
That guy was a beast. Yeah, that guy was like a legit.
I'm like, bro, what? In hindsight, like there was no way.
But that's why I've always felt ever since then, like the way he talked about pro wrestling, and then to see him, and even more so than to see him like, well, I didn't do good in MMA. Let me come crawling back to AEW and acted like, hey, this was my
but that didn't happen. He waited years between those time frames.
Well, he waited for something that was
worthy of his time,
worthy against WWE, because he wasn't he wasn't going to go to Impact. Was he going to go to Impact? No, he wasn't going to go to Impact. But when something rivaled WWE money wise, of course he was going to go to it. If AEW didn't come, he wouldn't have came back. Unless maybe under I know he doesn't really agree with Triple H, but he may have felt like, well, I'll probably do better now.
That's why I think honestly, between you and me, he wanted to blow it up. He was. I told this to the guys like a few months back. He was injured in that moment when he said, "I'm tired and I'm old and I work with fucking children." Yeah. And he was already injured. No one knew that.
And I don't doubt him with that either.
And I think I'm like, doesn't mean you say it, but all of it was true. Everything he said was true.
Well, and that's the thing too about those guys, like the Young Bucks. What
do you say? Can't manage an effing target, right?
These guys can't even manage a fucking target. The EVPs.
But at the end of the day, like to your point, you got to keep that in your head a little bit. Like but I think he wanted to blow it up. I really do. You're injured. You're in your 40s. And you've been dealing with this jerkwad that's trying to go, trying to put one over on you on the mic last couple of weeks. Yeah. And nobody wants to come to your locker room to learn stuff.
Back to that, another issue. Isn't it kind of karma in a sense that Adam Page, I mean, not saying karma, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to take advice from the veterans. I don't need advice. And then it's
maybe don't take that move.
Maybe you'll take the advice now. And I did like when Moxley said that. He's like, you're known for running your mouth. You better watch your shit. Or what did he say? Watch your fucking mouth, like on the promo. He's all, because you're like, he made it was kind of a reference to Sammy Guevara with Andrade. And he said something along the lines like, it was the promo like 2 weeks ago. Oh, Moxley cut a promo on Hangman. And then Hangman said, when, Moxley was walking away, and then Hangman's all, oh, that's all you got to say? Why don't you fucking come back in here in the ring? And then Moxley went back in there. He's all, you know what? He's all, don't end up like one of these kids that's just talking shit. Watch your mouth. He's all, so don't get your ass kicked or something like that. He said that, and then he dropped the mic again. So it was just kind of funny and then like I said, since Hangman did make that's the comment.
Thing. If anybody ever really wanted to work it out, you could have CM Punk coming out just for promos, healing, and not taking any licks at all, and keep talking shit like you did.
That's the thing. Why wouldn't you?
But nobody wants to do it. Nobody. Exactly. They could have. Nobody wants to do it. It's just you guys.
To Vince's credit,
missed out on a lot of money.
Vince would have talked
Vince
everyone
would have
into
said,
working.
"This is." He would have brought them all back. You guys know how
Come
great
on,
this is
come
right now. You guys know how awesome this is.
He's like, you know how much
Like,
money everyone's
I'll
gonna
tell
make
you.
right
I'll
now?
tell you a story. My wife loves this story about. I can't remember the actor, but he plays the Hulk in all the Marvel franchises. And on one of the
Ruffalo.
Avengers series, they told him do the Facebook Live thing. So he turned it on. He didn't know how to use it, and he has it in the movie theater. And you can't see anything. All you can hear is the audio to the Avengers premiere that no one else could see. And someone had to go to him and go, whoa, whoa, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, your Facebook Live is on right now. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And the producers called him like, what the F, man? What is wrong with you? Guess what happened the next day? He came up to the producers and the directors and he's like, had his head in his hands on the red carpet, wherever it was. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And then I came up to him and gave him the biggest hug ever. Do you know how much publicity we got from that? That was better than any premiere we ever could have done. And it was just like, it was accidental, but they realized it was great. And they ended up telling the story in every talk show going forward, how funny it was. And everyone goes to YouTube and hits that Facebook Live thing. But it's just, this could have happened the same way. You could have had this very real thing happen and then turned it into storyline. But nobody is big enough of a man or a woman to say, let's squash this in the back.
It was all men involved in that match or in that whole thing.
I understand what you're saying.
Kenny
I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm saying like you could have squashed this and you could have made a ton of money, but you don't want to do that. None of you want to do that. And at least CM Punk doesn't want to do that.
And the thing is, like, that was the All Out pay-per-view, right? So can you tell me a match from that pay-per-view that you remember?
No, because of what happened.
So
it overtook everything.
It did.
It overtook everything. And the only way to salvage that is to make it seem like it was part of what was supposed to happen, which would have been great. But nobody wants to do that.
And that's why, I know everyone's like to harp on me, but that's why I said I don't think Tony Khan has what it takes to pull it off, and he doesn't. Unless it comes down the line, we'll see what happens. But
how does nobody walk in that room and say, guys, have you seen the Twitter post? Have you seen the hits? Have you seen the trends? This is gold right now. Can you guys squash this? Because we're about ready to make a ton of money. Are you ready? Like, did anybody even bother to try to say that? Like, that's what blows me away.
Tony Khan was just more worried about who he could hug backstage.
Kenny, come here. You know what, man? I think that's a perfect. I think that's where we should leave it. He's just looking for somebody to hug.
We'll leave it. Tony Khan is looking for someone to hug.
That's hilarious, dude.
If you ever see me in person,
don't you dare hug me, Tony Khan. Don't you dare.
Because I'll give you Abigail. I will give you.
We'll see what happens with Bray. There's gonna be fun stuff. Did you buy that? Did you buy that?
No. Nate gave this to me a while ago. Nate gave this to us when we were living in California. Yeah.
That's funny.
Tony Khan.
Follow the buzzers, man.
Don't you come to me.
Follow the
Let me in.